Well, hi, everyone. My name is Wendy McGee. I am the Director of Client Relations here at Mailbox Power, and I am so excited today to be joined by Jim McCord, who is a real estate expert, a real estate guru, knows everything about real estate, and he has generously shared some of his time today to talk to us a little bit about his career, about his business, a little bit about him, and also share with us why he loves Mailbox Power. So welcome, Jim. I'm so excited to be interviewing you today.
Oh, happy to be here. I've seen you on your weekly calls, but it's nice to get to talk to you, Wendy. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person whenever we have our event this summer.
I know. I can't wait for that too. I'm so excited for everyone to come here and see the beautiful headquarters and just, be able to rub shoulders with all of the Mailbox Power, like family, everyone. So it'll be so fun. So I'm looking forward to that too. So, Jim, tell me, I don't know you at all, except for just like you were saying, back and forth a little bit, with the affiliates and in the company. But I would love to hear a little bit more about you. Tell me something unique about you. Tell me a little bit about your history. You shared a few things in our pre-interview questionnaire, but I would love to have you tell me more because you're a very interesting individual. I love all of your history, and you've done some pretty amazing things. So feel free to share.
Well, I can tell you this. First and foremost, I'm a father. Amy and I have 4 grown children. One is 40, the other 3 are all in their 30s, 2 girls and 2 boys. And first and foremost, I always live for my kids, always did. And we have 5 grandchildren from those 4 children. So
congratulations.
That's my priority. It's my wife's priority, and absolutely love it. I've been a realtor since 1993. I got into real estate back in 1993. And I tell you why I got into it, Wendy. I got into real estate because I did not like the way that the realtors treated Amy and me when we were looking to buy homes. And it just was kind of appalling to me. It was like you could tell they just wanted a sale.
Right.
And it's not like I jumped right out of what I was doing. I was in sales before that. And I continued on with my sales career. Corporate sales is what I was in as a hired salesperson until I was about 35 years old. And then I decided I wanted to make a career change. And I was looking at different opportunities, and I remembered how real estate had showed me an incredible opportunity if someone were to get in there and actually work for the client, and I figured if I got treated like that, I wouldn't have even thought about being a real estate agent. But we had worked with 3 different realtors, and they all gave us the same impression, like they were just out to get their commission, and that was it. So I chose to get into real estate back in 1993, and it was just wonderful because real estate, you can control your time. I was a listing agent more than a buyer's agent. Certainly I worked some buyers, but I never missed one of our kids' soccer games. I coached all 4 of them in either baseball, basketball, or soccer. And, had some good years, some bad years. I was the top agent in my county numerous years. And just it was a good career. It was a good career.
Oh, I love hearing so many things that you said really connect with me and resonate with me. What you said about putting family first, and that, you wanted to find a career where you could do something where, how did you say it? You could really connect with people. You said a great thing, just barely. If you actually focused on the client, how much more amazing. I've had a similar real estate experience pretty much every time, and literally feeling like they were working for themselves and not working for me, not looking out for me as the client, right? And so I love that. I also love that you've been in the industry a long time. You've been in real estate since 1993. So you have probably tried every form of marketing, tried every possible way to build your business. So you have a lot of experience and expertise in that. And I love hearing the background. I love hearing too how family is so important to you and that you focused your career around your family. That's so awesome. So Jim, tell me a little more about your business today. Where are you at today with your real estate business?
Well, I sold for 26 of the last 28 years. And I had so much success. Prior to Mailbox Power, I was with another company, which is very similar. And a lot of us were with that same company. And when I started using that product from that other company back in 2009, it changed the way I did real estate. I mean, it totally changed everything. And that it was just a life-changing company for me. And instead of, like, when I got into real estate back in 1993, I knew how to sell because I was a corporate salesperson for about 15 years before that, but I didn't really know anything about real estate. So what I did was I found the top realtor in our county, and I asked that top realtor, I said, he didn't know me. I said, hey, I'm getting into real estate. I recognize your name. I see your name on all the signs, most of the signs in Campbell County. Is there any way I could take you to breakfast or lunch? And he said, sure. So we did that. And, I was very impressed with the guy. And I asked him, I said, would it bother you? He didn't own a real estate office, or he didn't manage it. He just was the top agent, not only in the county, but in that office. I said, I'd kind of like to work in your office so we can stay in touch and I can continue to, see what you do. And he said, oh, Jim, I'd love that. So I did. I went to work, in his office. We didn't work as a team, but I found out back then what he did and what a coach, a real estate coach, the first coach, the only coach that I ever hired, Mike Ferry, he's still around, and his son, Tom Ferry, now coaches realtors too. But what they did and what the coach taught me was cold phone calling and door knocking. And I did that, and I did it, and it worked. It worked back then, and to this day, it still works. There's no question that it works, but you have to do a whole lot of it, And most people don't want to get cold phone calls. They just don't. And, none of us do. To this day, I mean, we probably get more robocalls and more cold phone calls on our cell phones now than anybody ever did in the 90s, and it's just obnoxious. So when I joined that other company and I started sending cards and gifts strictly for thank you when people bought homes from me.
Okay.
And I did that for a few months, and people really loved those gifts. And after a few months of that, I thought, wow, I think I could probably use this same system to prospect for sale by owners and expireds as opposed to that cold phone calling. And I started doing that, and it just really worked. I mean, it worked better than anything I had ever tried. And so I continued with that and, just had huge success. And I wrote a book called Revolution in Real Estate Sales. And very quickly, literally that first month, it became #1 best-selling real estate book on Amazon. And
wow.
I sold like 10,000 copies in my first 6 months. I mean, it just really took off. And because of that, I started sharing that other company more, which was an MLM. And that worked out wonderful. And then, things happened. Mailbox Power came along, and I made the business decision to switch to Mailbox Power. And boy, am I glad that I did, because Mailbox Power, there is not another company out there today that I'm aware of. And I look all the time because I share Mailbox Power. That's what I do primarily. I look all the time to see if we have competition. And there's all kinds of people who do pieces and bits of what we do, but you can't go anywhere and get it all on one site like we offer. Yeah. It's just not possible. And so, when I came to Mailbox Power, I also made a switch. Well, actually, I made that switch slightly before, but I chose to go after luxury homes, all $1 million plus homes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I could have never done that without, sending these customized products, because I was just like any other agent. But when I started sending customized, envelopes and cards, and especially, coffee mugs and boxes.
Show us some of them.
Yeah. I mean, my office is a Mailbox Power office.
I was noticing that.
I mean, that's all I got in here. I have so much stuff, it's ridiculous. But that's what allows me to be able to show it and share it. But anyway, it worked so well for me that I thought, after about 23 years on real estate, I don't care what anybody does. Eventually, most people are going to get burned out. And I kind of started to get burnt out too. And I thought, I could probably coach realtors. I wonder if realtors would pay me to coach them.
Mhm.
So about 6 years ago, I started marketing myself as a real estate coach. And that worked out really well. I did that while I sold luxury homes. And about 2 years ago, I enjoyed coaching so much, and my Mailbox Power income picked up to the point that I no longer needed to sell real estate. So I still have my license, but it's not active. It's with a holding company, and I can get paid for referrals. But now what I do is I coach realtors nationwide full time, and I share Mailbox Power. And, I couldn't be happier because with both careers, we have a daughter that lives in Belgium, in Brussels, Belgium. We have a son who's a doctor in Vermont, in Burlington. I love that. We have a son who's an airline pilot down in South Carolina. And I can be anywhere and do share Mailbox Power, and I can be anywhere and coach realtors, with the cell phone or the laptop. So it's just, life is so much better than being tied down. And I'm not knocking real estate. Real estate was great and I loved it. But, my last 2 or 3 years of coaching and sharing Mailbox Power has just been phenomenal because of the flexibility it offers me.
Ah, I love you hit on so many great points there. When I'm like listening to you and how you solved that problem, how you went to another expert, someone else in your industry and said, hey, let me talk to you. Let me find out what you're doing. I think that's what people are looking for in every business is, hey, tell me something that will help me stand out. Tell me something that will, help my customer to actually feel that connection or to be like, hey, this person actually cares about me, wants to have a relationship with me. That is one thing that we talk about at Mailbox Power all the time, just staying top of mind with your clients, that people don't receive anything most of the time from anyone. And so when you send a gift, when you send a card, when you do all of these things that you're talking about, it really is such a different experience. And so, okay, I love all of this. Tell me, Jim, can you think of a particular customer or a particular product that you sent or something that you did that was really successful for you, that you were like, you know what, I will always do this. I'm going to use this particular product. I'm going to use, we call them at Mailbox Power automations, but they're a campaign that you're sending out. Is there one that just really sticks out in your mind or that you just feel like, hey, if you're looking for something out there to do, this is the one that I would do. This has been a success story for me.
I don't send a lot of campaigns. Now, I love the campaigns, and a lot of the realtors that I work with do love campaigns. I personally don't. I know it's an incredibly powerful thing, so I always share that with everybody I share Mailbox Power with. But what I have had my most success with, like in real estate, it is without question, it is these gigograms, because they're inexpensive. They're about $3. And, like when I'm coaching realtors to go after listings, they're trying to meet with sellers to get a listing appointment to list their house.
Okay.
So almost every other realtor is phone call, phone call, phone call. Mm-hmm. And the ones who are, some of them are also sending company information. So if somebody puts a for sale by owner out in front of their house, they're getting overwhelmed with phone calls and mailings. And the mailings are all about how great the company is and how great that realtor is. And then they get an envelope like this in the mail from me or from me that I coach or anybody in Mailbox Power. And that's their house. This was like a mini farm. And so they're impressed with that. If you get that.
What? Yeah, exactly.
That's your house. That's your house on the envelope, not the card. When you get that in the mail, you can see it came in the mail. There's the postage, there's the return address and the mailing address. When you get that, you're probably going to open it first. One thing's for sure is you're not going to throw it away. So you're going to pull that out. And then on this heavy stock 8.5 by 11 card is another photo of your house. And then inside of that card is the information of why they might want to consider meeting with me. And those are $3, Yes. And another like $1.50 or whatever to mail. I mean, it's ridiculous. So for realtors, I would say, and when I was selling, I would say the gigograms are the most powerful thing to get appointments and to meet people and least expensive. But the other thing is, these boxes, I don't always send a gigagram. This was a $2 million listing and it had expired with another realtor. And so I know, they're getting phone calls or getting company mail. And from me, they got this box inside of the priority shipping box. They opened up the priority shipping box and they get this box with a photo of their house. Are you kidding me? Who sent me this? They're going to open it. So they open it, and then there's a card with another photo of their house. Now, that one I put, your listing is expired. Are you satisfied? Or are you still interested in selling? And then, they open it and there's my information, why they might want to meet with me, my contact information. And then inside of the box, you can put brownies, with photos. And I always do photos of their home. I never put a photo of me. The only place there's a photo of me is on the inside of the card. So when you send stuff like this, and if you really want to get the listing, so many realtors and so many people in sales are so short-sighted. They don't want to spend money. They want to send a 50-cent card or a free card. And that's great. I'm not knocking them. They work. But if you're going after a $500,000 listing that you're going to make $15,000 when you sell it, you can spend 20 or 30 bucks.
More than, $5.
Anyway, if it's one like this, a higher end home, I'll send this. And along with that, they'll get a coffee mug with a photo of their house.
Oh, beautiful.
This one I put too.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, it's the gigograms and the coffee mugs. And obviously, the postcards and the greeting cards that go along with them. That's what I send the most. As a matter of fact, I don't think people, when I share this with people, most of them don't believe it. But you at corporate, you can verify this for me anytime you want. But I know it because I can look on my system. Wendy, I have sent over 500 coffee mugs.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Really, Jim?
500. Now, probably about 40 of them. If you look on the wall of of my window there, and you look around the shelves, I probably have 40 of them right here in my office, and another 10 of them in our kitchen. But the coffee mugs, and it's not just for business. I mean, for people's birthday, for somebody who their daughter just graduated from high school or their son graduated from college, or it's a new grandma or grandpa and they have a picture of them holding the baby, and you put that photo on a coffee mug and send it to them. They keep that for life, for life.
It's on their desk forever.
Yeah.
I love all of this. And I love what you said about that you don't necessarily do automations, that with Mailbox Power, you're sending individual gifts, individual thank yous, the gigograms, you're, watching for that opportunity with those listings, for sale by owner, all of that. Tell me, Jim, is there one customer story that really sticks out? Like someone who called you back or a sales experience that happened because of a particular product or something that you sent that's kind of one of your favorites that you're like, oh, when I got this phone call, it was amazing, or this led to something in your business that was really substantial?
I literally, I could tell you, and I'm not exaggerating. I can tell you 100 of them. I could. And I'll just tell you the very first one because it was the biggest change in my real estate career. And I had never sold or listed $1 million home, even though I was the top agent in my county a lot of years. I just never went after those luxury homes. There weren't that many of them in Northern Kentucky where we live. Now, we live 2 miles from Cincinnati, and right across the river, there are a lot. They sell a lot. But in Northern Kentucky, we don't. So I just never had one. Well, there was a $2.2 million expired listing. And the realtor who had that listed for 6 months, I didn't like her at all. And every other realtor I know did not like her at all. She was just one of those extremely phony realtors. There's a lot of them in the business. And I thought, since nobody I know likes this realtor, chances are the seller, having dealt with her for 6 months, they probably don't either. So I thought, well, I'm going to go after a $2 million listing. And I thought, man, why would anybody list a $2 million house with me? I've never even sold a $1 million house.
Right.
So I remember, I thought I didn't have this system. I hadn't written my book yet. I mean, I didn't. And I thought, I'm just going to go sit in front of that house and I'm going to think what I can do. And the reason I felt safe doing that is, when a house expires, you can click on that listing and see all the photos of the inside of the house as well. Okay. Well, when I clicked on it, all the rooms were, there was still some furniture there, but you could tell nobody was living there. It was a vacant house. The owner had already moved out. So I knew I could safely sit in front of that. And I sat there for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, trying to think how I could be different, than all the other realtors who were trying to get that listing.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I Googled the owner's name, and he had quite a few photos of him on the internet. Yeah, quite a few. He was, I didn't know him. I didn't even recognize his name, but there were quite a few photos. So I thought, well, rather than just put his house's photo on the front of this card, I'm going to put his photo. So I put his photo on the top of the card. And then below that, I put the photo of his house, on the front of a card, 5x7, not a gigagram, a 5x7. And then I just put his name in between that. And then on the inside, I took another photo of his house and I made it the spread of the whole card, the whole inside of the card. The backdrop was his house, which was a $2 million house. Spectacular. It had like a 5-car garage. It was just a spectacular backdrop. And then I dropped like a notepad on there, and I wrote a short note on the inside. Your listing is expired. I'm different than every other realtor. I'd love to meet with you. And I sent that with I think it was 2 dozen brownies. You can send 2 brownies, but if you want to make a real impression on somebody, send a dozen brownies. Spend $40.
$40.
Yeah. And if it's a big listing. So anyway, I did that. And I thought, well, who knows? Well, it was about a week later, this guy calls me up and he goes, excuse me. He said, Jim McCord, I got a box from you. And he said, I have to meet you. And I said, well, that's wonderful. That's what I'm looking forward to doing. I said, when can we get together? And he said, how about tomorrow? So, we met. And when I went over it, and literally we met at the door. He opens the door. We shook hands. And he said, I'll give you a tour of the house. But he said, I'm going to tell you this first. He said, I am meeting with 3 other realtors today and tomorrow. And I said, well, I expect that. I would too if I were a seller. And so then he gave me a tour of the house. We sat down on his dining room table. And he said, well, what are you going to do? You say you're different than all the realtors. And I won't give I'll gladly do it if you want to do it someday, Wendy. We'll gladly do it. I'll give my whole coaching system. But it would take too long to do it on this short presentation. But I just gave him just a 5-minute spiel what I was going to do to be different than everybody else.
Well,
and I told him what that was, and he goes, wow. He goes, I don't need to meet with the other 3 people. He said, do you have a listing contract in your truck? I guess he saw my truck outside. I said, yeah, I do. He said, go get it. I'm going to list with you. And I remember, we did the paperwork, and I'm driving back to my office at the time. And keep in mind, I had been in business 21 years, and I had never listed or sold a $1 million house. And now I have a $2 million listing. And I'm driving back thinking, wow, this guy said he has to list with me, and nobody else is going to. Well, that's exactly what I told him. Nobody else is going to do what I do. But I didn't really know that he would believe it, So anyway, I was driving back to the office, and I thought, I wonder how many other expired homes over $1 million there are in Northern Kentucky. So I got on our multiple listing service on the computer, and I went back 6 months and I pulled expired listings that hadn't relisted or resold, and there were 3 more. So over the next couple of weeks, I did the same thing. I created a similar card. I didn't put the photo of them on the front of it because they didn't have as much publicity when I Googled them, but I did put their house. And I did send them a big box with the custom card brownies. And within the next month, I had 4 listings all over $1 million. And it's just as simple as sending a custom card with a photo of them or their house, as opposed to all about me and all about Keller Williams or EXP or Coldwell Banker or whatever company you're with, And that was life-changing. Now I could literally, I could tell easily 100 other stories, some business and some personal. but yeah, sending these customized products is truly life-changing.
Oh, Jim, that's such an awesome story. And just hearing how you used your business expertise, you thought about how can I stand out? The fact that you sat in front of that house for an hour and a half thinking, what can I do? What can I do? Because that really is the dilemma that every business owner has. Like, how do I break through the noise of, we're running social media ads and we're doing Facebook ads and we're sending messages on Facebook and we're hoping people see our stories or our reels or TikTok or whatever people are doing. But you brought up at the very, very beginning that, cold contacting, face-to-face marketing, direct mail marketing, like we're talking about, these things, people actually have to give your gift or card or whatever their full attention for they're going to it. You put his face on the card that came. Of course, he's going to open that. And then you're going to have a fair shot at actually saying to the customer, hey, I am different. Hey, I want to work with you. Hey, I took extra time and spent my marketing dollars in a way that I felt like could literally, get me an audience with you, could get me a conversation with you, because that's what you're looking for. So that success story is amazing. Being able to, and it moved your business into the $1 million, $2 million listings. That probably gave you a lot of confidence and courage.
I changed my whole career. And it was funny because it was about that time. It was exactly that time, actually. After I got those 4 listings, now I got 4 listings, all over $1 million. When in 21 years I didn't have one. And I pulled the history of sales of $1 million plus homes in Northern Kentucky. And believe it or not, at that time, in our entire MLS in 8 counties, we only averaged 5 homes a year over $1 million. That's all, 5.
Wow.
Now it's quite a few more than that, but it was only 5. And I realized I couldn't make a living at that in Northern Kentucky. So I got licensed in Ohio because we lived 2 miles from Cincinnati. And in Ohio, they average back then they averaged 125 homes a year that sell over $1 million. So, I thought, well, I need to get licensed in Ohio. There's not a big enough target market in Kentucky. So I joined Keller Williams, and I'm not pushing Keller Williams at all. Not the slightest bit. But the owner of Keller Williams wrote this book about 15 years ago. It's called The One Thing, and it is not a real estate book. So whatever industry anybody is in, they should get this book. And if you only want, I guarantee you your library has it. But if you don't want to get it at the library, order it on Amazon. It'll come in a day or two. And this book, other than Mailbox Power, has changed my life more than anything, because what that book taught me, and it's called The One Thing, and pick one thing each day. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing each day. It's a matter of what your priorities are, what your focus is and what you want, whether it's maybe it's running a marathon, maybe it's losing weight, maybe it's being the top insurance salesman in your area, like Bo Young, or maybe it's the top car salesman or the top realtor, whatever. But whatever it is, you got to decide what it is you want. And each day, what's one thing that I can do before noon tomorrow that's going to move me closer to that goal? And I decided it's the only book I ever picked up and read cover to cover, the entire book in one sitting. I'll never forget. I laid in our backyard back here on my hammock, and I read that book. It took about 3 hours, and I had chills. I get chills thinking about it now. And I had just listed those 4 homes over $1 million, and I wanted my goal to be only doing $1 million plus homes and tip everything below $1 million. So I decided after reading that book that I would prospect 2 homes that expired over $1 million in Ohio, because we don't have them in Kentucky, every single day. I didn't know it would work, but I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to prospect 2 expired listings a day, every day for 2 months, see what happens. Well, what happened was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's a matter of focus. And then on top of that, the advantage that I had was I had this. I had none of the other realtors had this. I mean, I shared it with a few realtors, but they weren't using it like I was using it. And it just changed my whole career. So the combination of The One Thing and the use of Mailbox Power and focusing on those listings is what changed my real estate career.
Oh, wow.
I will say this, I don't want people to think that like mailing the cards is not a good idea. The one thing that I do a lot in these, when you join the executive level, you get these 8.5 by 5.5 postcards, free, unlimited, where you pay postage only. And they do go out, pre-sort first class. So they're still going out first class. But, postcards have been around forever. So there's nothing new about postcards. What's incredible with Mailbox Power is we can mail these unlimited free, and we can design them. And what I coach realtors to do, and how I pick up a lot of realtors as Mailbox Power customers, is I tell them a lot of realtors, there's one of two things. Either they have a neighborhood they work, and in our industry we call that farming. You farm an area. You pick an area of 300 to 500 homes, and you mail to them. Sometimes you'll knock on their door, you call them, whatever, 3 or 4 times a year. That's your area, and you want to become the expert in that area.
Yes.
So if you have an area like that, like this is this isn't a high-end subdivision, but it's a highly coveted subdivision. The average sales price is probably about $350,000, maybe $400,000. But anytime that either the agent has a sale in there, or even if somebody else listed a home, they can have an aerial photo from an FAA-approved drone photographer point out that house, that either that agent just listed or that just sold, and they can mail in, they can have the first name, they can mail that to everybody in that entire subdivision. And when each house gets that, it's going to have their name on there. We can do that with our system. It's not going to be just a card, and it's not going to be like what other agents send is a picture of that house where they stand on the street and they show the house. Hey, we just listed this house. When people get an aerial view of their subdivision, they've never seen that before. They're blown away. And then on the back, you can put your information. Hey, you can put an update. You can put this in the home that we just listed. And it's going to have their name again. It's going to have their names. Each house is going to have their name specific to it. But, and then you can, whenever I do this, and when I coach agents to do it, you're not allowed to have your own drone. You have to pay an FAA-approved drone photographer. So if you're going to pay a drone photographer to go up and take photos, don't have him take the same angle. What I do is I have him fly that drone around and take like 5 or 6 different angles. So each time you mail an aerial card to that same subdivision, it's a different angle. People love that. I mean,
I love that. I love how creative you are. I love listening to your business mind, thinking of like different, it's really fun, isn't it? Mailbox Power as a tool for your business is really fun because there's just so many things that you can do. And I can hear it in your, like, you're just like, I think of this idea and I'm so excited to implement it. You should try this. And you're so willing to share, what has worked. And it's so fun to hear your enthusiasm. I love this. This is so, especially for not just real estate agents at all, but any business owner who's thinking, how can I stand out? What could I do different? What could I get someone to actually look at that they'll, and what will they open and go, wow, holy cow. And Mailbox Power is just getting better and better with more options, more gift options, more, things that we'll be able to send. Okay, so we're getting to the end here, Jim, but I want you to share, what would you tell me if I was just a new business owner, an experienced business owner, but I'm thinking I only have, a limited marketing budget. I'm not really sure where to put it. What advice would you give me? And you've given such great advice throughout the whole thing, but maybe just kind of a tie-up of, hey, this is what I would tell you, and this is my advice.
Well, I don't know of any other company, like I started out when we first started talking, Wendy. I know of no other company that offers all this. And I don't know of any other company that offers unlimited free postcards.
I don't either.
and obviously mailing lists have been around forever. Back in 1993, we could buy mailing lists. And I bought mailing lists back then.
Yes.
But I had to buy the mailing list. And then I would have, back then I had to type it in. I had to key it in the mailing list. And then as technology progressed, you could buy a mailing list and you could upload it. But on our site, you can prospect and you can target that mailing list. It doesn't have to be a neighborhood. It can be a neighborhood like this. You can do a geographical search and put a half-mile radius, or you can do a demographic search and break it down by whatever you want. And then on top of that, you can mail unlimited free postcards. And, a lot of people seem to think like that's our business. That is our business. That is part of our business. And that's phenomenal. It is truly, and a lot of realtors come just because of that. But
Yes,
I'm so disappointed when people forget about all these incredible other products that we have,
we have.
because
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with real estate. This is, these are coasters. And sometimes when I'm telling people who have signed up under Mailbox Power under me, and they say, well, what should I send? And I say, well, send them a coffee mug with coasters.
posters.
And they go,
Great.
oh my God, Jim, nobody uses coasters anymore. And, I don't care if people use coasters or not, because what I do, like this is Brandon Mulrennan. I don't know if you've interviewed Brandon yet,
I
but
haven't
Brandon,
interviewed him yet, but he's on my list. I'm excited to interview him.
he's either the top, he's recruited more people to Mailbox Power than me. I recruited him, but he and Kelly are the number one and number two recruiters to the whole company. I know that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they've received so much stuff from me, it's ridiculous. These are coasters that I sent to Brandon, and they're
No,
photos of his family.
cute family. Look at that. No one's throwing that away. That's going on his desk no matter what.
And these aren't like, I'm sure you've seen them, but a lot of
Yes.
people haven't. But like when you send somebody in whatever industry you're in, this has nothing to do with real estate. You know what I mean? When you send these to people, and these are so inexpensive, they're not going to throw these away, and they're not going to keep them they're going to put these out on their desk because it's their family.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. And so, business is about building relationships. It's two things. And it doesn't matter, because I was in sales for 15 years before I was in real estate. And in real estate, I know the figures. 80+% of newly licensed realtors around the country will be out of the industry within 2 or 3 years. 80+%.
Wow.
And actually, the last couple of years, it's closer to 85%.
Really?
And there's two things. People won't prospect. If you won't prospect, you can have the greatest product in the world. You can have the greatest product in the world, and it could be free. But if you're not out there telling people about it on a regular basis and following up, you are not going to do any business. So you have to prospect. And then secondly, business is all about building relationships. It's like I've been in the business of real estate. So real homes and multifamily homes and commercial homes and land is what I sold. That's not the business Jim McCord was in. I'm in the business of building relationships with people. And you can do that way better when you start sending personalized gifts,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
as opposed to just sending, postcards or doing cold phone calls. When you send people personalized gifts with photos of them or their family on it, they really appreciate that, And I mean, take a look at the wall back there. I can't tell you how many.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I can't tell you how. Like I have one of my insurance guys in Mailbox Power. His first name is George. I won't use his last name because I didn't ask him if I could. He had his first grandson about 6 months ago. And in the last 6 months, because, I friend everybody on Facebook and LinkedIn, and he's posted a ton of pictures of his new grandson, him and his grandson. He's got 2 coffee mugs. He's got water bottles, and he got about 3 different of these slides of stick-ups.
Yes. Yes.
And he absolutely loves it. He's got Mailbox Power stuff with pictures of his grandson all over his house and his office because I sent it to him. Now he's never going to forget that. If I was just a typical person and I thanked him for doing business with me, and he's using this great product, that's one thing. But when you send, no matter what industry you're in, when you thank people and you stay in touch with them, and you don't do it in an arrogant way by only how great I am and please remember me and send me referrals.
Yep.
Well, you don't even need to mention that. You send them stuff that they're going to keep. They don't forget who sent them stuff with photos of their kids. No.
Oh,
yeah, it's truly a life-changing company. I love it. I couldn't be happier.
Oh, this has been so fun to interview you today, and you have shared so much great information. You've done a lot of coaching for business owners on this call. You've shared how Mailbox Power has helped your business, your obvious love and passion, like I have for Mailbox Power and what we can do. And And I really appreciate the time too, because I know you're a busy business person. You are one of our top affiliates, one of our best users. You send so much amazing stuff. When I first came into the company it has been about 8 months ago, all I heard was, you have to meet Jim McCord. He's an amazing, amazing businessman, but he also is one of our top senders. He loves Mailbox Power. And so I'm so excited that I got to interview you this morning. And I just appreciate your time and your excitement. I think anyone who has watched this interview will not only have gleaned a lot of great business tips and advice outside of Mailbox Power, but also be inspired by all of the amazing gifts that you send. So, Jim, thank you so much for letting me interview you today.
Thanks for having me.
All righty, we'll close it up. So, any last words, anything you'd like to say, just last testimonial or anything to those who are looking at Mailbox Power?
I absolutely, there is no way now this is kind of a rub with me, because so many people, and it's true with any product or any company, a lot of people join Mailbox Power because they saw it, somebody shared it with them and they love it, but they don't use it. They don't use it. And then of course, they're not going to continue to pay a subscription fee if they don't use it. But I have never had one single person who uses Mailbox Power on a regular basis ever even think about quitting, ever.
We have very loyal users. Very loyal.
I would say, without question, it's the best product or service I used. I'm 65 years old. I've been working, in sales all of my life. Like you said earlier, I probably tried everything, and I did. I tried just about everything over, my early years in sales. There's just nothing like this, but you have to use it. So join, and the first thing you do, I made a video. It said, you join Mailbox Power, now what? And I say in that video, and it's got a lot of views. And what I tell everybody is, send your significant other or your spouse a coffee mug or brownies or something immediately. And don't tell them it's coming. Then when they see that, they'll get to see the reaction when their significant other opens that up. And then once they see that, then if they start doing that with their prospects and their clients, their business will take off. And it's not maybe, it's guaranteed, whatever business they're in, because there is no other product out here like this. But it's only good if you use it.
Well, you are a true success story for Mailbox Power, and I appreciate all of your great information and your testimonial and everything that you've shared today, Jim. So thank you so much. I appreciate
I love the company. Yep. Get us out there. We want to come out and see the building.
Yes, we want you to come out and see the building. We're excited for you to come out here. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.